Hey guys, it's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. Wanted to do a quick video giving my initial impressions, I guess you could probably call it a review, on Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. I picked this up the other day, I was really excited, I did a video about it. I had gotten the collector's edition from GameStop, a buddy of mine held it for me, and I used my pretty much final credit. So I wanted to talk about the game a little bit, what I like, what I don't like, and yeah. So I'm a huge fan of Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. 2 was definitely the odd man out, but I still loved it. It was actually my first Dark Souls game, and recently I beat Bloodborne with my buddy Hesh on PlayStation 4. I borrowed my friend Brian's PlayStation. So that being said, there's some things I really like about Sekiro, and there's some things not so much. The If you play the game like a Dark Souls game, you're going to die. There doesn't seem to be any, or maybe very limited amount of invincibility frames. However, you can jump while fighting, which is a bit different. So instead of going to get hit and rolling out of the way and hitting, and then rolling out of the way and hitting, like Dark Souls kind of has that pattern where you're doing a lot of rolling and dodging and then hitting. This has some of the dodging elements. However, more so, you're going to have to learn how to parry and deflect attacks, um, do certain reversals, use different items to maybe stagger the enemy or confuse him for a moment and get a couple hits in. It has the Dark Souls formula in terms of the fighting with, get a couple hits in, back off, but the backing off portion is definitely different, and I'm still coming to grips with this is not Dark Souls and you have to play it differently. It also has a very big stealth element. You can jump into like areas. So there's a cool way you get this like grappling hook, sort of like Bionic Commando, and you can jump into trees and buildings and hang out and kind of pick your shots. So I do like that about the game. I'm not a big stealth fan at all. So that was the main thing that turned me off about this when I first heard about it. You're a ninja, you're in feudal or a shinobi, you're in feudal Japan. You're trying to, I think, get back your lord, who's this young man who has gotten kidnapped by another. I want to say tribe. It's not tribe, but you get my point. And you die, and then you get brought back to life, and you have these abilities where you can keep dying and keep kind of bringing yourself back. The more you die, the more bad things happen, and like disease spreads across your NPCs that you're friendly with. So the fighting is much faster than Dark Souls. It's probably akin to something more like Bloodborne, where you do have to be aggressive. However, again, you do have to pick your shots. It's not so. It's just different in a way. I can't explain it. So, still coming to grips with all that. You can do some stealth mechanics and hide, and then you can sneak up behind enemies and do like finishing moves and just kill them in one hit. You can also do this on some bosses, which is cool, or mini bosses. However, after that, you're kind of on your own and have to figure out whatever method you need to beat the boss. I'm up to a general right now that's not very far along into the game, actually, but giving me a really tough time. Though I did beat two of the mini bosses that are supposedly like harder enemies in the game. So, what I like about the game is the fast-paced combat. I do like the samurai setting. What else? I think the gameplay's fun, and I like the openness of it, where you can jump around and find hidden areas and go across like places. What I don't like is there's like pretty much no customization. So where Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 had a ton of customization, and you can do whatever you want with your characters and then play the game a certain way, this doesn't have that. This has some upgrades, and you can grind and get levels and get abilities. However, you can't play different molds of characters. There's just one, and you have to learn how to play as that character, and that's it. It is what is considered in the Dark Souls series, I believe, a dex build, because they're not so strong, but they're fast. So I'm not a fan of that. I like in Dark Souls how you can change your characters up and play different ways. Some people play as, like a magic user or a pyromancer, um, as a dex build, as a strength build. I've always liked strength builds, so this is completely opposite of how I would normally play. You have to play this game the way they want you to play it. And that's sort of what I don't like about it, is that you have to learn to, parry. You have to learn to do things a certain way. If you don't, you will die a million times over. I don't even get angry anymore. I just play and I say, okay, I'm probably gonna die, but if I can make it through, great. And then sometimes I make it through really quickly, and I'm like, oh, I guess I'm, learning or getting a little better. You also get different abilities, such as your prosthetic arm gets different abilities. You can like throw fire or firecrackers or hit things with an axe, and you need them at certain moments. So certain enemies are very difficult to beat unless you know what ability to use for your arm, or certain abilities you just gain. Like there's one where when a thrust attack happens, you can push. I'm on the Xbox. You can push. I think it's up and B, and you can step on the person's sword if you time it right, and then hit them. And I think it's either kill them or get like a really good like posture damage. So the other thing about this game is posture. There's no stamina bar. Your stamina is not going to run out. You can't like slow down from lack of stamina. However, there's this thing called posture, and so you have your health, and when that's gone, you're dead. But when your posture gets all the way up and turns red, they can do like a one hit kill on you. But you can also do the same. So the point of the game is to inflict as much damage as you can on these enemies, but then also break their posture, by deflecting things or reversing things or hitting them at certain times till their posture meter is large, and then doing a finishing blow or a death blow and killing them. So it's interesting, but it's also the game is very it I can't think of the word off the top of my head, but it really wants you to play it the way it wants you to play it. You can't fight each boss or each mini boss the same way. Every guy is fought completely different. One guy might be you have to deflect everything. Another guy might be you have to reverse everything. And then another guy is that you have to throw fire at him and then he gets stunned. You get a couple hits in, back off, throw fire at him, he gets stunned. So it really depends on who you're fighting against. And I think it sort of pigeonholes the gameplay because you're not able to come at it your own way. There's no uniqueness. It really is, here's what we're giving you. You're going to follow these instructions, and if you don't, you're going to die. There is some like little lore that I'm kind of getting into now and I'm finding interesting. As I said, I do like the setting. The gameplay is fun and fast, and being able to like bionic commando your way across the levels and find items and find things is cool. The other thing I noticed is in this game, when you get items or abilities and stuff, it explains them way better than the way Dark Souls did. Dark Souls was always very ambiguous and sort of made you want to figure out, what each item does, or they seemed kind of mysterious, and you would have to figure out maybe who to give something to or use in a certain spot. This game's really not as much like that. It is a little bit, but it more so lays things out for you. Trying to think of what else I wanted to say. It has its Dark Souls feeling, but I would say out of all the Souls games, it's the most different. And in some ways, that's really cool, but in some ways, I don't like that. I think this is a game I can play in small spurts, maybe do, a section or a mini boss, hit a wall, stop, take it easy for a while, maybe play some fun little simple game, and then go back to it to not get angry. If you are a casual video game player, I can definitely hands down tell you this game is not for you. I mean, I'm having a difficult time with certain bosses where I must have fought one guy about 15 times. And the thing that really bothers me about the game, sometimes the save points are pretty far away from the bosses, so it's kind of annoying. But certain mini bosses and bosses have enemies around them. So it's not like you just go into a room and it's one on one and you know what? I'm going to do this. It doesn't matter because you have to like waste time by stealth killing, 8 guys before taking on the boss. Because if you just go in, you're going to get killed because they're all going to just bombard you. So that's one of the main things I don't like about the game. I also feel like I get pretty much like 2 or 3 shotted and I'm dead. There's not much room for error. If you get hit a couple of times, you're kind of screwed. You do have a gourd that you can drink out of that brings your health back, just like an Estus flask from the Dark Souls series. So that's good. You can upgrade it and get stronger healing from it with certain abilities, or you can trade in these gourd seeds that you find and get more uses out of it. Again, just like the Estus flask in Dark Souls. I think someone who really likes a challenge and a difficult, fast-paced game, they'll enjoy this. And I think it is a good game. I like it. However, as I said, not being able to customize your character, not being able to change out armor or ability, really change out what you want to be and your play style really hinders the game a lot. And Dark Souls always, to me, was a game of like, let me figure out how to go about this a different way. Because if I do that, I can possibly beat a boss with a certain weapon or a certain magic or whatever my own way. And that was always feasible. You were always able to kind of come at things from a different direction or play the game your own way. This isn't like that at all. So overall, I'd probably give the game a 7.5 or an 8. I like it. I think it's really good, but I think the lack of customization and the constant stealth and having to like take out mobs of enemies before you get to a boss and having to retry it over and over, but instead of going right to the mini boss, you have to kill the guys around him first. It's very mundane at points. And maybe my reflexes aren't as good as they used to be. I'm getting not up there in age, but I'm not, 19 years old either. So as you can tell by the lack of hair. So I'm glad I got it, and I'm enjoying my experience. But it also is a little frustrating, and I wish I didn't have to play it exactly how they wanted me to play it. I liked being able to sort of come at things from a different way. There is no multiplayer at all. There's no ghosts walking around that show you that they died in certain areas. There's no notes being left to give you hints. You can't get help or help people in their game. So you are completely on your own. There was one time so far where I fought a boss and was able to get an NPC that was near the boss to help me. He died pretty quickly, so you have to sort of use them sparingly, at least from what I've encountered. There is some like hidden areas and secrets, which I'm finding interesting, but it also always seems like you will just get your ass whooped pretty much around every corner. There's some kind of mini boss or a group of, a mob of people. It almost reminds me a little bit of Dark Souls 2 in that way. People didn't like in Dark Souls 2 how there wasn't a lot of one on one, there was a lot of two on one or five on one, and you'd have to take out each guy kind of one by one. This sort of has that reminiscent of it where it's just a lot of mob mentality. Overall, I like it. I think it's interesting. They definitely went off in a different direction with this sort of gameplay, but if you're a Dark Souls fan, you're going to really have to learn how to play this game completely differently, and I'm still adjusting to that, admittedly. So yeah, let me know, guys, what you think of Sekiro. Big shout out to my buddy Early Prophet, who wrote to me on Xbox and said, "Can you let me know how Sekiro is? It's cool to see you playing it." So whether he's playing it or not, and just wanted my 2 cents, I don't know. But if he's not, this might give him a little input into my site here on this game. So check it out. Let me know what you guys think. And if you've played it already, if you share the same sentiments as me, or if you think I'm completely off base. Thanks, guys, for watching. It's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. Be good.